Therapeutic recreation is something that keeps us human. We're not computers.
Right.
Everything's connected, and so happiness is a big part of it. Therapeutic recreation serves all those people in terms of their emotional, cognitive, physical, spiritual, and social well-being.
People with cognitive disabilities are no different. You need special accommodations.
Mm-hmm.
It's just not so obvious.
Absolutely.
We tend to dismiss, I think, the people with dementia in a museum. Being lonely is detrimental to your social existence, but it's detrimental to your health.
Absolutely.
And it's a health issue. It's not just a social issue.
Have the assumption that learning is just for when we're children or when we're in college or when we're learning throughout our career, but learning is lifelong.
Welcome to the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. I'm Larry Wagner, and I've spent 30 years working with seniors where I was a certified senior advisor and the last 15 years in the home buying industry as a certified senior transition specialist, where I specialize in dealing with seniors going through a transition in their lives. This podcast is for seniors, those with seniors they love, and people who work in the senior community. In each episode, we bring on a guest who works to improve the lives of seniors. This podcast is your key to unlocking senior resources.
Welcome. Today we're here with Theresa Morale from North Star Inclusive Solutions, and I want to get this part right. She's a certified therapeutic recreation specialist. I got all that right?
Yes.
That's perfect. I can put my notes down there. All righty. So, welcome, Theresa. Thank you for coming.
Thank you for having me, Larry.
You're very, very
Pleasure
welcome.
to be here.
Well, just real quickly, I always ask people how they got in the business, but before I ask how you got in the business, can you give a brief summary of actually what the business is, that we can know what you got into?
Sure.
Okay.
Well, I work in healthcare, specifically serving seniors through recreation programming. So recreation programming, when you're working with seniors, usually means a therapeutic type recreation.
Okay, right.
It's called therapeutic recreation because usually the programs are adapted, modified to meet the person where they are in terms of needs and abilities. Whether they're an active senior who really might be at risk for just loneliness or social isolation if they became less active.
I have many questions about that. Go ahead. Yeah.
Or someone who lives in a memory care facility and has more intense needs for therapeutic recreation. So there's a continuum of services based on the needs of the individual. But therapeutic recreation serves all those people in terms of their emotional, cognitive, physical, spiritual, and social well-being.
But now we understand.
Yes. So
I cheated because I looked at your website, which is a great website, and I know your backstory, but why don't you share that?
Sure. My backstory is that I thought I wanted to be a mechanical engineer.
Same
so
thing.
I started at Stony Brook for that, and then I decided that I wanted to switch. So I went over to Malloy University and majored in gerontology. And really, I was inspired by my relationship with my great-grandmother. I had started to spend a lot of time with her. She lived to 100 years old. We affectionately called her Omi. She
Did she live
she
locally?
wore pearls a lot.
She
So
wore
I wear
yes.
pearls
Yeah,
now
there you go.
in her honor.
There you go.
She did live locally.
Okay,
Yeah,
good.
she lived in Mineola.
Okay.
She lived in Hempstead.
Yeah.
And she would spend a lot of time at our house.
Nice.
I was one of 8 children,
Wow.
so she helped my mother a lot. Her granddaughter, who she was very close with. So, yeah, she was local. We were blessed.
Yes. So you spent a lot of time with your grandmother.
And I saw that she aged very actively. She helped teach us through play.
She aged
taught us
actively.
She did.
That's an
She was
interesting
always
term.
working,
Yeah.
always doing something, whether it was cooking or sewing. A lot of the things that she did were more traditional domestic type activities, but she lived to a very healthy age of 100, and she was still walking and, moving. And although she went through a lot throughout her lifespan, had many losses throughout her life.
When you live to 100, that happens.
Yes, she stayed healthy, and it intrigued me. There was a combination of nature and nurture, I believe, for her. So it inspired me to want to study the field of aging and also be sort of a helper in that realm.
Fascinating. It's a great story. When I read it was a great story. And I hear all these, everyone sitting in your chair, and I've said this before, has a family story. It's usually a parent or a grandparent. I think you are the first great-grandparent story. Because I think of my grandkids' great-grandparent. My grandkids are 4 and less, and their great-grandparents are pushing 100. So I think your family worked a little faster than my family as far as making babies.
We did.
So my kids will not remember their great-grandparents. So, but that's a wonderful story to be influenced by your great-grandmother.
Absolutely.
So
Thank
we're
you.
going to come back to her, I have a feeling, during this conversation because it seems so relevant how she lived her life and 100% relevant to what you do today.
I was 29 when I lost her.
You were 29. That's incredible. To lose a 100-year-old. So in the 80 years, they had all these generations, 81 years. Wow. So you really did get to know her. It wasn't like you were 14, 15. Wow. I wasn't expecting that. So, all right. So when did you start your operation, your company, and doing this work?
Sure. Well, we became official in November of 2025.
Okay.
So really got to work in January with clients, and I serve a wide range of clients, whether I'm helping at a senior center, independent living. I work with marketing people who work in the senior care industry, where I help them bring engaging programs to independent living or senior centers. I offer a music program that's interactive. I happen to also be a live musical entertainer. I'm a vocalist and a drummer. So through my experience working hands-on with seniors, I am very comfortable and I know how to teach them to use percussion instruments, handheld frame drums. So I do an hour program where it's very interactive, where they're not just listening to me perform. We're singing together and we're using movement scarves.
I've seen that on your site.
Yeah.
And yes, it's so and they're sitting in their chairs, waving their
Right.
Very, very endearing.
And even that can be done with people in the community who are more active.
Right.
I have experience working myself, managing a senior center. So I adapt as a recreation therapist. I adapt whatever I'm doing to the people I'm working with when we're in a group setting. So based on the needs, if it's group based, it may be primarily seated if I'm in even an assisted living, just for safety and based on what has to happen there. And then we move into different parts of that 1 hour music and movement program. So it's highly engaging and yeah, it works.
It was so wonderful watching these because I had 2 parents in independent living and 2 in-laws in independent living, and I look at the activities they do, and I look at the nature of the population, and I was watching your videos, and it was so relatable to me.
Yes.
As I said, everyone sitting in your chair has family member that has brought them to the direction they're in, as do I. So it's very fun. I work with seniors. The vast majority of my clients are seniors, and that's who I gravitate to. My whole life I've gravitated to seniors. I've related to that generation, not my own. Unfortunately, I am now a senior, so I got to start relating to my own generation.
I could relate.
Yeah, you could relate. Yeah,
I
okay.
mean, I was 21 working in my first skilled nursing facility.
Right.
And it was fun being one of the youngest.
Yes.
But it was also an opportunity to learn,
Yes.
but it makes you realize, wow, is there something weird about me?
Right.
Why do I love to be with the older generation? Why? But as I grew, I realized it was actually a privilege
Right.
and an honor and a blessing that I just had the awareness of.
Yes.
And that other people didn't necessarily have that awareness or that experience.
That's how I felt. I got to learn the lessons of the older generation by not focusing on my generation.
Right.
And unfortunately, I think in America and maybe the world, each generation seems to be a little bit less than the one before. Go with the greatest generation in the world with two generation. I don't know. I don't want to get a social commentary on this podcast today. Maybe that'll be a whole different podcast. But I worry. But I've always focused. My parents were the World War II generation. And so that's who I learned from, and you get to experience these people and so on, and I think you're in a wonderful place. I think you're in an absolutely wonderful place. So now you go. Just explain your business. Now you're going into these nursing homes and so on. And,
Yes. So one arm of my business
Yes.
is I'm going into senior centers, independent living facilities, assisted livings, memory care neighborhoods, skilled nursing facilities, and I'm bringing them a 1-hour program, or sometimes I'll do 2 1-hour programs back to back in different neighborhoods
Right.
where I am. So I bring it to them, and I bring everything. So I don't just do the singing and hand drumming with them. I also bring other programs. Sometimes I'll bring a travel lecture. I love to travel, and I'm working as a trip planner as well for groups. So what I'll do at an assisted living or even an independent living is
provide a presentation, travel to Japan, and then bring
an interactive presentation, and I'm also giving them like tastes of candy from Japan, or and it's sort of like a show and tell type
Show and
interactive
taste.
lecture. Yes. And I'm doing things such as ball drumming, like cardio drumming,
Yes.
where to the they're drumming and doing physical fitness, usually seated, with a beach ball and a
Right.
5-gallon drum. Or
Oh.
if the client wants it to be a little fancier, we're getting medicine balls and something that's a little nicer looking,
Right.
because they want a certain look,
Right.
and I help set them up with that. So really those 3 programs, the lectures, not necessarily travel. Sometimes the lecture is about the health benefits of music making, the health benefits of recreation therapy. Could even be a lecture about AI and how to use it to leverage it in a way that actually helps you as a senior. The cardio drumming is big right now, and the music and movement with the drumming.
Right. The cardio drumming I've heard about, because it's a physical activity,
Yes.
which is good. It gets the
Yes.
blood flowing and so on. And
Absolutely. And socially, it connects people.
Yep. And the whole idea of music in therapy, and I remember watching so many videos on people who have the significant dementia, and they don't really communicate, and suddenly you play music and they start singing to the music from songs from their youth or their pre-dementia era, usually a while back, and suddenly like they're speaking and they weren't talking for a long time, and how music brings stuff out in us,
Absolutely.
which is such an incredible concept. But now you're not doing that kind of music, are you?
I am.
Okay.
That's personalized music listening.
Okay.
And a few years ago, I think it was 2011, there was a gentleman from Long Island, a social worker, who started an organization and had iPods infiltrating every nursing home on Long Island. It spread into Brooklyn and Queens and the Bronx, and there was a documentary made about it. And it was all about how it's well known now and evidence-based that each and every one of us, there is an emotional component to music and music listening. And we're neurologically wired to have a reaction, usually positive, sometimes a little negative, but we have an emotional reaction to the music that meant something to us, that we listened to between the ages of 14 and 19. it's this kind of like magical time for while our brains are developing, and we become neurologically hardwired to react to that music when we're 80 years old. So when I was 21,
Right.
and in 1997, working in my first nursing home, and I basically graduated from college and had to sort of learn. Now I had to learn on site. I picked up from other recreation therapists, hey, they're singing Hot Town in the Old Town tonight because we have 100-year-olds here who were born in 1897.
Right.
And when they were 15, they were listening to Hot Town in the Old Town tonight. And so I quickly learned, Bill Bailey, Won't You Please Come Home?
Right.
Because those were the songs that made them happy. Those were the songs that they might have been sort of contracted, sitting in, sort
Right.
of semi-fetal position, not engaging with us at all, not making any eye contact. And once we started singing and playing those songs that meant something to them, it was on me to learn those songs.
Yes.
So, and it goes for you too. It goes for me. I love Cyndi Lauper, Sinead
Right.
O'Connor, Enya. When I hear those songs, it does something to me. I'm neurologically hardwired for
I
those
have
songs.
one song. I started my workshop in my basement when I was 13. I got my first stationary power tool when I was 13. Down there I had my grandmother's old radio from her kitchen in my little AM radio in the basement with limited reception in the basement. And I would listen to on the radio was the number one song, The Night the Lights Went Out in Georgia. And if I ever hear that song, I smell the basement. It's I smell the basement. There were two songs. That's one of them. And so you talk about, and I was 13, say 14, so I'm 13, similar enough. And then I didn't listen to music in my life before that. I didn't listen to music again until I was 18 in college, 18 to 22. And from 22 on, I've never turned the radio on in my life. I don't put on music unless I put on the Spinners Rubber Band Man if I'm cleaning the house. So, because I find
Wow.
it. But other than that, I don't put music on. Music is never part of my life. But that, I think my ADHD brain, you put music on, I don't even know what's playing after about 3 seconds anyway.
Okay.
But that song is the most powerful song. Vicki Lawrence, who had one song. So
That's
it's an
interesting.
important song to me. So, but you're right, I smell my parents' basement.
We don't fully understand the power of the
Yes.
brain.
No, that's when you're
So-
talking about that. It's 14 to 18 or 13 to 18, whatever. 19, I think you said. Mind blowing that you tell me that because I've never heard that before. Fascinating. Now the world makes sense.
Yes.
Now the world makes sense to me.
You
Thank
believe me. Now I
Vicki
have
Lawrence.
credibility, too.
Now you've proven yourself. Okay, she's the real deal. She's the real deal. That I've seen these music things, so I'm hoping most people have. It really, as you said, it stirs people up, and the fact that it goes back, funny music from 1897. It's very funny. That's old music.
That is
that's
old music.
I thought The Nights I Went in Georgia was old
The
music.
music that got her going was the music from 1912, 1914.
Right. That's
So.
funny. I wouldn't have known. I don't know what music that is, but you have to. I don't need to know. So, and I'm not going to ask you to sing it
Well, you
here.
know who Irving Berlin is.
Yeah, of course. Yes.
Great American
Yes.
composer.
Yes.
His music spanned, from the early part of the century to later on. So
Right.
he was always a very safe bet.
There you go. There you go. Yeah, you can always thank him for it.
Yes.
That's very good. So I have a question. So you're dealing with seniors. Your universe is seniors. In your name, I want to get it right. You're North Star and inclusive.
recreation.
Right. The
solutions.
recreation we got. The North Star I understand, but the inclusive. Let's discuss the word inclusive. Having a special needs granddaughter, I've learned the word inclusive typically refers to special needs. Is that kind of universal with the way I'm saying it?
It does.
Okay.
Just traditionally, the word inclusive has meant that we're including those who need accommodations, need
Right.
modifications,
Right.
need adaptations to meet them where they are in terms of their needs and abilities. So inclusive in my company name means just that. And it means making modifications to whatever services I'm delivering based on the client's cognitive and physical needs usually. So in my world, I'm working more with seniors who might have cognitive impairments and definitely physical as well. But I do a lot of work with families and caregivers, individuals living with dementia. So it
That is
applies in
a
that
special
area a
need.
lot. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You think
So-
special needs that someone's born with a disability, but
Right,
you develop
sometimes.
special needs.
Exactly.
Right.
So when I go into a memory care neighborhood of an assisted living, for example, because of my world experience and my professional experience, I know how to adapt my program to meet those needs and adjust. And so knowing the interventions that are needed and used and customary and evidence-based best practices, never approaching someone from behind who has dementia, startling them, making,
Interesting.
using some gentle touch or eye contact, all of the interventions that we're trained as recreation therapists to use. Our interventions are diagnosis based. So we, as a profession, we come up with treatment plans, individualized care plans based on the needs or the diagnosis of the person or whatever their limitations might be.
Right.
Or,
Right.
so the word inclusive applies in many, many different
Right.
ways. But I was mentioning earlier to a friend that there's a huge database out of Cortland, SUNY Cortland, the Therapeutic Recreation Program there, and the professors, they've worked for years and years to help individuals access public facilities or private facilities that are for leisure. So they've created a database so that people know before they go.
Right.
So they've done sort of the legwork and the investigation, the site visits, so that they know, is there a wheelchair ramp? Or, there are organizations on Long Island too doing this where they're working with docents at museums so that they can train them to be comfortable and have a skill set to interact with people with dementia or Parkinson's when they come to their museum. Or they'll have like a special time when groups can come, and the docents who are working there
Right.
are have a certain comfort level and a certain awareness
Right.
so that the individuals and the caregivers can come and have the experience and feel comfortable and be sort of in a safer space.
Right. Oh, very interesting. The word inclusive should have tentacles everywhere. And we don't think about it. If you don't have inclusive needs personally, but it's in yourself or your family, we tend to gloss over it. But when it's in your family
Yes.
or in your career or in your family and career, it becomes so ingrained in your life, you realize how necessary it is.
Right.
And I would never think of a docent in a museum. I mean, my mind wouldn't go there, and dealing with someone with dementia in a museum never would occur to me. But
This is a little bit of a tangent, but do you know how when you're in the market for a new car,
Yeah.
all of a sudden
Yes.
you notice every make and model
Yes.
of a car on the road, but normally you
Right.
don't. When you have a family member or your career as well,
Yes.
but I think it hits a lot closer to home and it just becomes a part of you, your everyday when you have a family member
Yes.
with special needs, and now you see it. Now you see it everywhere.
yes.
When things are not accessible or when people are not inclusive or when your family member is shut out or rejected.
Yep.
And,
And my friend, his father had MS. So that's a developing disability. And he remembers his father, was fine. Then he was walking with a cane, then crutches, then the brace crutches,
Yeah,
and then he was in a
it's
wheelchair. And then he realized, you can go to a restaurant with crutches. But then it became when he's in a wheelchair, every time they went somewhere they'd never been before, they had to call in advance. Is there door is accessible for a wheelchair and so on? Things, I mean, how many times have we gone to a restaurant and we just walk up 2 steps to get to a restaurant?
absolutely.
I just went to a restaurant
Right.
in Texas. I was there with my family, and my special needs granddaughter, and we had to carry her double stroller because there were three kids there, but had to carry, now this wasn't a wheelchair, but it was a double stroller, had to carry it down about 30 steps to go to the restaurant. And we could not find an elevator anywhere. Now, there must have been somewhere, and I asked like 8 or 10 people, no one knew where the elevator was. So we had to come from street level to go all the way down about 30 steps. I mean, you and I wouldn't think twice about walking down 30 steps to go to a restaurant, but suddenly
Right.
when you have to deal, you're in a wheelchair or you're
Right.
with crutches or something, but you're talking about people with, also, again, cognitive disabilities are no different. You need special accommodations. It's just not so obvious. It's just not so obvious.
Absolutely.
We tend to dismiss, I think, the people with dementia in a museum. They're not going to know anyway.
Right. And I mean, there's some degree of, it has to be the right fit for them.
Correct.
And it can't be overstimulating. But in earlier stages of dementia, it's still therapeutic and person appropriate for them to go to a certain type of museum or go out to lunch. If it meets their needs and their abilities.
So, question for you. My mother had Lewy body dementia, a horrible diagnosis. And she went from playing bridge to being basically in a wheelchair, a vegetable in a wheelchair, in 3 months. In 3 months. It was so fast. And I would go there, my wife and I would go there all the time and talk to her and spend time with her. And some people would say, Mom doesn't know you're there, why are you bothering? And I don't know what Mom knows. And is there, can I ask you a question? Is there stuff going on? There's stuff going on inside, but is it possible she had no clue that even if she had no affect in her face, I didn't know what she knew, and I don't want her going to heaven or whatever happens, thinking that I wasn't going to visit her and I was ignoring her because she's no longer, a viable person.
Right.
She's still viable to me.
Right. I don't think so. I think
Okay.
that she knows you're there. I
Right.
think there's, from my 29 years experience,
Right.
there's more than, obviously there's more than verbal communication,
Right.
but there's something going on between a mother and a son
Uh-huh.
that you can't see it, but you can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And she can feel you, if that makes any sense.
Yes.
And
I believe that.
with dementia, all types of dementia, it's about the moment. And what it's taught me is that they have certain preserved abilities that we take for granted. So one of the preserved abilities, and the positive way of looking at it, of course, is to look at what's preserved and not what's lost.
Right.
But one of the preserved abilities is that ability to feel emotion through, and usually music is one of those interventions that brings it out. But just in general, the ability to feel emotion, the ability to feel love,
Right.
that is preserved through Lewy bodies,
Right.
through Parkinson's-related dementia, alcohol-related dementia, cardiovascular-related dementia. The ability to feel emotion is preserved. So that's what I'll say about that. And the ability to connect in the moment
Right.
is also preserved. She may not remember that you were there
Right.
5 minutes, but why does that matter so much? Why
Right.
does it matter so much that she remembers 5
Right.
minutes later?
Right.
You
she had that
two are
moment.
together, and in that moment,
Yeah.
you're loving each other,
Right.
you're connecting with
I
each
stroke
other.
her leg. I touch her because I think that she touches so powerful.
How is that a waste?
Right.
If you believe in the sanctity of life,
Yes.
and you believe that every life is important and
Yeah.
every life matters,
Yeah.
then it's not a waste. So I
Yep.
think it has a bit to do with worldview,
Mm-hmm.
and it has a bit to do with how you value life.
Right.
If someone can't feed themselves,
Right.
is their life not?
Right.
Does it not matter?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, we go there all the time. I said I'd stroke. Matter of fact, after she passed away, she was sitting in her wheelchair, looking out the window. She had lunch, put her to the aide took her to the window, letting her look out the window, and then she calls and says, "Your mother just died." I'm getting all teary-eyed, and she died like 8 years ago. But I'm remembering like the music, like Vicki Lawrence. And I remember I sat across from her on the couch, just stroking her leg, just like I did when she was alive, because she looked exactly the same, just no affect, just staring in the distance. And it was like, and I kept thinking, this like nothing different. It was very bizarre, but she's gone. And but I was happy and relieved she was gone, because it was no life for her. And I know she wouldn't want to be like that. She's made it very clear she didn't want to be anywhere near like that. But I'm not. I feel better to know that maybe had some impact on her, the little bit I could do. So, and she had a wonderful aide who loved her. But she would watch television, even though there was nothing going on, and the aide would say she would laugh at appropriate times, which is interesting. So something was processing, and it wasn't all the time. But she said she never laughed at an inappropriate time. She didn't laugh all the time, but only at appropriate times. And when I heard that, I said, something's going on in there. What? How much? I don't know, but enough. So, but thank you for that. But now I'm all teary-eyed. Good thing people who listen don't watch. So anyway, but with that said, maybe as an interview, you're not supposed to get personal on your interviews, but this is very personal.
It is very personal, and it's. I think it's very timely, because with the advent of AI, for example, and another tangent, but we all are feeling it. We're all feeling that we're at risk of losing our humanity.
Yes.
And therapeutic recreation is something that keeps us human, because it's a discipline that it's not something where you're going to make tons and tons of cash.
Right. Yes. You don't get rich doing this, do you?
No, you don't. But it's very, very fulfilling.
Right.
And why? Because there is a universal truth, timeless truth.
Right.
We are social beings.
Yes.
We need others.
Yes.
We're created from love.
Right.
And that's why you're crying, because there's a creator.
Yeah.
Your mother loved you.
Yeah.
You loved your mother. And that even relates to more of what I do. You know, like when we do the drumming, we talk about the life rhythms. We talk about the universal rhythms. There are many of them.
Yeah.
One of them is the heartbeat rhythm. And every single one of us, we're connected through rhythm. We also, that's an opportunity to like increase our connectedness. We become synchronized when I'm working with a group and we're drumming together in the same beat. And I teach them about the heartbeat rhythm, and we use the heartbeat rhythm. And I always mention that the heartbeat is the absolute very first sound that any single one of us have ever heard. Yeah. Was it your own heartbeat that you heard?
My mother's.
Exactly. It wasn't yours, it was your mother's. And so that's why you're brought to tears. You're human. You're not AI. Thank God. You're a sentient being. And that's the crux of it.
Hi, I'm Larry.
And I'm Ben. We're the father and son team of Leave the Key Home Buyers, and we want to buy your house.
We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you were going through.
So if you're considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out and see how we can help.
Do you have an outdated home?
No need to update anything.
Have a home that needs repairs?
Don't bother with repairs.
Don't want to take everything with you?
Leave whatever you want behind.
Dreading the headaches that come with agents?
Sell your home without paying a commission.
Dreading prying neighbors, attending open houses, and passing judgment on your home?
No need for public showings.
When you sell to us, you'll have all the certainty of closing on your timeline, not someone else's, and there's absolutely no pressure.
Visit leavethekey.com or call us today for a no-obligation offer at 631-388-7771 if you want to sell your home today.
If we didn't learn a lesson from the pandemic, then we are hopeless. As a society, we have to walk away from that and take from it the fact that our seniors, they were a vulnerable population. They were the most vulnerable. They had so many comorbidities. They were the ones who were living in nursing homes. They were low in vitamin D. They were just had everything that made them susceptible to the virus, right? But what else wiped them out besides, what else wipes you out besides the flu when you're in a nursing home
Right.
or a common cold, which I worked in
Loneliness.
nursing homes for years. And if there was the common cold going around, we quarantined. We didn't bring other residents onto the floor. If there was flu A or flu B,
Right.
we knew it was flu B. They tested positive. Resident A tested positive. So we are not going to bring anyone. So of course, COVID was a disaster. But what else was a disaster?
I say loneliness.
Yes, social isolation.
By the way, my mother was going through this during COVID, and for a year, we could not see her. She was on her first floor, so the aide would open the window, but the screens weren't able to come off for some reason, or maybe you needed a tool or whatever. And we would talk to my mother through the window, and again, I couldn't touch her because she's through a screen window, and it was not the same. And I don't know if she even knew who we were, but again, it was that lack of touch that I think made the big difference. Yeah. COVID was
And that
terrible.
really exacerbated any
Yes.
type of conditions that were at play. It's just fact that
Yeah.
elderly people died of from the effects of being isolated.
Yeah,
And the staff did the best that they could do.
right.
But and wasn't just in nursing homes, it was people at home who were isolated,
Yep.
people aging in place who became
Right.
isolated. And it wasn't just food and water that they needed.
Yes.
It wasn't just food and water that, caused them a lack of to cause them to perish. It was their need
Right.
as a human being, social being.
I prepare questions before, and I seldom get to them because this conversation goes naturally. But I have 5 question section on loneliness. So
Oh, wow.
yeah, and I'm gonna let me just run through. I'm gonna not ask all of them, but it says, "How can someone tell the difference between being alone and being lonely?" Which is interesting. A lot of people live alone and they're perfectly happy.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
is there an answer to that question? And that's a tough
I
one.
recently, I
Yeah.
was watching actually a webinar about this
Uh-huh.
recently. There are experts who speak to this.
Yes.
And it's fascinating. But from my knowledge,
Yes.
alone is you're happy, you're doing some
Right.
sort of independent.
Yeah. Your grandmother.
For me, I
Your great-grandmother.
measure everything in terms of, my grandmother. I mean,
good
she
great-
didn't
yeah.
spend too much time alone, but
Oh, okay.
because she had so many children, so
Right.
many grandchildren and
Right.
great-grandchildren. But when she was alone, she was perfectly fine making
Right.
apple pies.
There you go.
And she did live alone
Right.
for a large amount of her time, maybe after her husband passed away. So alone to me, I sort of think of it in terms of, are you still doing what you enjoy? So if you're pursuing leisure
Right.
and you feel fulfilled and it's a choice, as opposed to feeling lonely,
Right.
you can be in a room full of people and still feel lonely.
That's true.
You can be alone and not feel lonely.
I go to networking events all the time, and I can tell the people who are uncomfortable. I always go up to those people, and even if it's my first time, say, "Is this your first time here?" They'll say yes, and I'm able to walk into a room and talk to people. I'm blessed with that. Not everyone can do that, and you see they're not only lonely, they're incredibly uncomfortable, which is even worse. Lonely's like a 0. Uncomfortable is below 0, kind of thing. So I'm very sensitive to that because I used to be that person.
wow.
So I try to. I'm not comfortable walking up to strangers either, but I'm able to step out of my comfort zone and do it. So I don't like those people sitting there like that. But there are people who live their entire adult lives like that, or the later adult lives like that. So. Yeah, there's so many questions I could do, but I don't want to just focus on the whole thing of loneliness because it's clear being lonely is detrimental to your social existence, but it's detrimental to your health.
Absolutely.
And it's a health issue. It's not just a social issue. And children of parents have to understand that, and so on. And my mother-in-law, I hate reference to family so much, but when COVID hit, her friends have passed and moved. They moved due to COVID, they moved due to age, and they lived in our house. My in-laws lived in our house. I showed you the apartment. And we ended up convincing them to move to independent living. they could have lived perfectly fine in the apartment. Mm-hmm. But at independent living, they would be able to be around other people. And she just blossomed again, like re-blossomed. She had blossomed before
Isn't
and
that
sort of
amazing?
shriveled a little bit
Yes.
during COVID, like many, and then it was so important.
Yes.
Her life changed at that point, and it was wonderful. So
Right.
let's not ignore that. It's such a big component.
It is a huge component.
Yeah.
And there's always a right situation for each person. So
Yes.
it's very individualized.
Absolutely.
One person may be very happy in their own home and just need some help and assistance in the home and have the ability to stay in their own home. Whereas for somebody else, like
Right.
your mother-in-law,
Yeah.
it's going to help her thrive living in independent living. So
And my parents got tired. And my father was still working, but at home they were tired. And they just weren't doing much. And I convinced them, it took a year to move to independent living, a different facility. This is a handful of years earlier. And same thing. They both got very active, involved in the programs till my mother got sick. But it was a wonderful thing. They spent those years in that place doing things that they never would have done otherwise. They would have sat home and
yes,
done not much of anything. May not have lived as long as they did. So
I had a college professor. Her
Yeah.
name was Sister Patricia Clark. She was a Dominican sister, and she taught our gerontology classes. And something she would say a lot of proverbs and adages and old sayings, and one of her favorite was talking about myths.
Right.
And you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Right.
It's a complete myth because you could learn at every age. So when you're in your 80s or 90s and
Right.
there's lifelong learning, lectures at your independent living, your brain is looking to learn. You can learn a new song, you can learn a new instrument, you can learn a hobby at any age. So I think that's the lesson.
Right.
We have the assumption that learning is just for when we're children or when we're in college or when we're learning throughout our career, but learning is lifelong. So
I was in someone's home. I said, most of the homes I buy, I'm a house buyer. I buy and fix and sell houses. And I deal mainly with seniors, which is why I started this podcast. It was like a way of paying back. And I'm at this gentleman's house. He's retired. He retired about 65 years old, and he took up music. And he ended up playing the guitar. He has a whole collection of guitars on his wall and so on. He says he can't play anymore because he's a sight reader, whatever. I'm not a music guy, but he has to read music to play, and he goes, he's losing his eyesight. But he still loves music and so on. Now he started writing songs. And he was writing song lyrics, and a woman he met put his first set of lyrics to music. And I got there the day he just was given the CD, and he played the CD for me.
Oh,
Gotta
wow.
tell you, it sounded as good as anything you could hear on the radio if I ever listened to the radio.
Yeah.
But anyway, so maybe as good as anything, maybe better. So anyway, but yes, she colored anything. My father-in-law, when he was, I don't know, about 88 years old, he was in the hospital, and he calls me, he says, Larry, you come to see me? I said, yes. He goes, bring me 3 sharp pencils. I had to go to his apartment, get 3 sharp pencils, get me a yellow legal pad in my top left drawer, and on the top shelf on the left side, second book from the end, is my book on probability. That's what he was doing in the hospital. And he was teaching a course on genealogy in the independent living facility. They put him opposite bingo. Oh, come on, that's not nice. He still had 8 people show up. 8 people show up, opposite bingo. The second time, only 3 people showed up. Everyone thought he was going to do it for them. He was trying to teach them to do it. The old dog has to want to learn new
the
tricks.
new trick.
That's the problem.
But resident-led programs are the best.
They relate. They understand. So, but he didn't understand. They didn't want to do it. He didn't understand that part. But he learned quickly. But you mentioned I have a section on aging myths. You mentioned myths before. And I was going to say, what's the biggest lie you've ever been told about getting older? It's probably what you just said.
That is the biggest lie.
Yes.
The second biggest lie is probably that, your personality changes. That when you get older, you get sweet.
Oh, no.
Sister Patricia Clark
Yes.
made sure we knew, and this is how she said it. She thought it was very funny because she was sort of cursing,
Yeah.
using cuss words. She said, "Ladies and gentlemen," it was mostly ladies.
Yes.
We had
I'm sure.
maybe
Yes.
3 or 4
Yeah.
men in the
Yeah.
room.
It's like elementary school teachers.
Yeah.
Yeah, not very many men. Yeah.
But in the classroom too, yeah. She said, "Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to realize that when you get out there, the witch of 8 is going to be the bitch of 80. So, so if you have someone who's your client, your
Yes.
patient, your resident, who doesn't have a very nice personality,
Yeah.
is not very kind and sweet, it's not because they're older.
Right.
It's because that's their personality.
But-
They were witchy when they were 8.
But
And now they
that's-
happen to be 80.
I never had it as a slogan, but what I've always said, and it's exactly what she was saying, is that when you get older, your personality just gets more exaggerated. So if you were a witch, you're a bitch, like to use that term.
Yeah,
right?
and
If
that
you're
is,
nice, you're
that's probably
really nice.
That's probably what she was trying to teach
Yes,
us as well.
correct.
I didn't get that part.
But it makes sense because the nice young people are really sweet old
Yes.
people, and the nasty younger people or middle-aged
Bitch is
people.
worse than witch, kind of, right?
Well, I would think
It's
so.
a little
Yes.
more extreme.
Okay. Well, you
Yeah.
can choose that. But yes, so that's what I was taught, and I don't know, taught or learned or whatever.
Yes.
But your personality just gets more
I think that's what
exaggerated.
she was
That was
saying,
her point.
for sure.
There you go. So I could have taught the class. There you go. The let's see what else I have in the myth section.
You are a jack of all trades.
A jack of all trades. So I'm
Realtor.
I'm not a realtor. I buy houses. I don't
Senior
sell them.
advisor. Oh,
Senior
you're not
advisor.
a realtor?
No, I'm not a realtor.
Oh.
I just buy houses from people and I fix them up and I sell them.
Okay.
Yeah, I was a cabinet maker. I was a draftsman. I did drawings for patent attorneys.
Senior advisor.
I was a certified senior advisor because I was a financial planner for senior citizens. I only dealt with people when they retired.
Okay.
So only New York City school teachers when they retired. Talk about a niche of a niche.
Mm-hmm.
Retirees, but that'd be for New York City schools. Not from Long Island schools, not from Jersey schools, New York City schools.
Interesting.
And when I sold my practice, we had $140 million. My father and I built a business together. And it was a great business. I wanted to sell it earlier on because I got involved in real estate the last 8 years of that. But my father was in his mid-80s. And if I sold the business, he'd have nowhere to go. So there's no way I'm doing that. So when he passed away, I sold the business and I put full-time real estate. But now I do the podcast for seniors and I make toys I donate to children. But the reason I'm bringing it up is I give many of them to seniors who hand paint each of these toys. I'll show you on the way out.
Wow.
Who hand paint each of these toys. And as a matter of fact, Tuesday every day at Tuesday afternoon, there's 8 seniors that get together in one place in Plainview in particular and paint them. So, and I'll show you something. Each one's a work of art. Each
I
one's a work of art.
absolutely love that.
So, yeah, my whole life's been around seniors.
And
Yeah.
then the toys are donated to...
Then I donate toys to different small local charities. I used to go to
Okay.
Toys for Tots, but they don't need me. I'd rather go
Right.
to the small operators,
Right.
the 1, 2, 3 person charities, and that's what I do. Or I go to the Helping Hands. I'm in Huntington, Helping Hands Mission in Huntington.
Mm-hmm.
I've given to them a few years. I do the 2 programs, a mother and a daughter. Mother is in her 80s and works 7 days a week at her organization. Preparing a gift bag, if you will, a 2-foot by 2-foot Ziploc bag with stuff for single mothers, single mothers of newborns. And she gives them this care package, and each care pack she wants to put a toy. I've not been able to deliver her enough toys because she puts, I think she said, 800 a year, mostly by herself. And her daughter works with special needs high school kids. And I've been down there doing a program where I took some of these toys and they were sanding them and assembling them, and then they hand paint them themselves, or they use the Cricut machine and put decals and stuff on them, and they sell them in their shop. So I try to get my stuff, but most of my stuff has a senior component. So, and again, I never related to my generation. I relate to that
Yes,
generation.
yes.
So my whole life has been a ladder climbing up to that. So I love doing this, and
I'm here. I've made it.
I've made it. I'm
one of you.
a famous podcast host. So that's it, and I become one of you. So I'm amongst you and trying to help at the same time. But let's see. So I said, so it's all about relating to that group, and
Yes,
you
and
relate to them. You have to relate to them.
Every single solitary human being
Yes.
needs meaning and purpose. So what
Yes.
you're doing, and you're helping other people, you're creating opportunities
Right.
for others
Right.
to have meaning and purpose.
I've been working a 90-hour work week and doing all of this. My goal is to semi-retire when I'm 70. I'm 68 now. Semi-retire when I'm 70 and work 40 hours a week. So I'll have more time to do these other things.
Yes, yes.
So right now, my goal this year, just for the record, is 1,000 toys. We're working at about 700. So I got a few more months. So I deliver them usually November, December. So I got to hurry up.
Okay.
But anyway, let's talk about just your program is dealing with. But a lot of my questions are more senior oriented. But here's one on happiness.
Okay.
Because that's a big part of what you do. When those people are drumming and doing, what do you call the ribbon, or what do you call it, the scarves?
Movement scarves.
The moving scarves?
Sometimes we put it inside a noodle
Oh,
and kind of tape it inside the noodle, so it's a pool noodle
And
cut
then
in half
yes.
with a ribbon
Yes.
with a scarf hanging out of it, and we're doing movement with it.
right. There you go.
To songs that they know,
And
that
they're happy.
they'll sing along to, and they're moving.
Yeah.
So I gauge the tempo of the song so that it can be used with
Right.
the movement scarves and the noodles. And then when we get to the percussion instruments,
Right.
I'm changing the tempo, I'm changing the type of songs.
That's
When we get to the
interesting.
hand drums, we're doing songs that are more really rhythm based, and
Right.
I've created a few songs. I do use some AI generative tools as
Right.
well.
Yeah.
So I've created a few songs using AI generative tools, coupled with my knowledge of seniors' love for proverbs and old sayings,
Right.
older sayings. So,
Oh,
for example,
very
when you talk about
cool.
happiness, I have a whole shtick on
Oh,
happiness.
stick on happiness.
We kind of segue from the movement scarves into happiness.
Right.
And one thing about people with cognitive impairments, there are parts of the brains that it doesn't matter.
Right.
And when you feel like when your preserved abilities are being tapped, your confidence goes up,
Right.
your happiness goes up, your self-esteem goes up.
Yep.
You feel better. So I really try to use what's called crystallized memory, and part of that is the proverbs. So something like, they say laughter is the best what? And
Medicine,
the whole
yes.
room says medicine.
Yeah.
Laugh and the world laughs with you, but cry and they can finish it. And,
Right.
and it's a feeling, just like in
Right.
school, it kind of brings you back a little bit.
Yeah.
The way that one song brings you back.
Yes.
That feeling of happiness and self-esteem and self-worth when you know the answer.
Right.
So proverbs are great in that way. So we use laughter, and I've created a laughter type rhythm track. And so I couple the laughters, the best medicine motif with
Right.
the laughter rhythm. So, and they learn right on the spot. And it's sort of like along the lines of Marie Montessori. I don't know if you ever,
Yeah, sure.
if you've heard of her, but
Sure. I studied education too.
yeah. So the Montessori way has also sort of crossed over
Yes.
into dementia care.
I've heard that actually. yes.
Yeah, many of the Montessori ideas can be applied to people living with dementia, because in the moment, sometimes cards are used, flashcards, but for me in the moment, I'm prompting them with, okay, let's learn the song together.
Right.
Goes like this: ha ha ha.
Yeah. Ha ha ha.
Ha ha ha.
That's what-
And see, you're
yeah.
already laughing.
Yes.
And they're repeating it, and then we string it all together, and then we play it to music.
Right.
And they're singing, and they're playing the drums to a song they just learned. And they're singing it loud. Laugh with me because laughter is the best medicine. And they can't help but smile,
Yeah.
laugh. And now what is that doing? That's you're releasing endorphins.
I was just going to say endorphins. Yep.
And this is our
That's all I know, endorphins,
This is our
yes.
this is our biology.
Right.
We're not computers.
Right.
Everything's connected. And so happiness is a big part of it for me.
That's awesome. I'm listening. I am smiling throughout this whole thing, and I can see how that is so powerful. So powerful. That's really interesting. And I was going to ask, one of the questions I had was purpose. You said, this is
Yes.
why I don't really need my notes, because we cover most of the stuff. And can someone find new purpose at 80? You've answered. I'm reading the question because you've answered the question. You can always learn new things, and studying probability at 88 and so on and so forth.
And what I've seen in the 28, 29 years is the most important way, the most impactful way that someone at 80 finds purpose and has purpose wherever they are, whether they're living in their own house and going to a senior center
Right.
a couple days a week, whether they're living in their own house and have a home health aide
Right.
who's working with them. When they're able to help somebody else, that's when they have purpose.
Absolutely.
So just because you have dementia, you could have advanced dementia. It doesn't mean you can't help somebody else. And the most beautiful part is when you're able to see, seniors living together in a communal type environment, whether it's independent living or a memory care unit, and they're helping somebody else. They're helping their fellow resident.
Right, yeah.
Even if it's just holding that person's hand or a gentle touch, you're okay.
Yes.
That's what being human is all about. And I'm a spiritual person as well. And I believe that's why God puts us here. And we're here to spread his light. It's part of why I picked the name I picked.
Right.
But we all do need to be the light in the darkness. And whether you're 80 or 8, you should be helping others. And if you want to have a satisfying life, if you want to be happy, help others.
I said, with all the hours I work, I get about a call a week. This one business coach who coaches in the industry I'm in would always tell his new students to call me, even though I'm not one of his students, but we know each other very well. And they call me, and I'd spend an hour with each one of these people. And I know almost none of them are going to succeed. This is a very, very difficult business. But I give each of them an hour of my time. And if I thought they had a chance of succeeding, I say, you call a general number, here's my direct line, you can call me anytime. My wife would say, Larry, it's 9 to 10 o'clock at night. I usually work till 1 o'clock in the morning, and I'm at my desk at 8 o'clock in the morning. She goes, why do you take that hour and talk to these people? There's nothing in it for you. I said, don't understand. It makes me feel good. I don't need the money at my age. I'm a senior citizen, too. I said, I refuse to admit that, except here. I never say it anywhere else. But I don't work for the money. I work because I really love what I do. And this is part of what I do. It's not
You want to be happy.
I want to be happy. It's not a money-making component to being in my industry, but I get such satisfaction. And then when they call me back, and a few of them call me back, said, Larry, I've just done my third deal. I've done my first deal. I'm talking to some people who are 18 years old and have done 2 deals before they were 19. And they'll come back and say, Larry, I would have done none if it weren't for you. And they'll come back 3 years later and say, Larry, I'm now doing 12 deals a year, all because of what you taught me. And oh my God, my wife says, but did it give you anything? Yes. Tremendous satisfaction. And yes, I tell her I live for that. And it's so important. It doesn't matter if you're 68 or 88 or 28 or 18 or 8. You should all want to help. You should all want to help. And so I get that. I get that totally. Totally. Let me ask you a series of I call it rapid fire questions, okay? By the way, I had 43 things to discuss, and we discussed many of them. It's going to go into it's a negative. I don't want to get there. It was a negative. It was about regret. I don't want to talk about regret.
Oh, no, we could talk about regret.
You want to talk about it? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's interesting that you...
Then we have to do something after. I would never like to end on a negative note. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
Go ahead.
Because any negative can be turned to positive.
Okay, go ahead. Go ahead. I dare you. I challenge you.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Then I have to bring up my father.
Okay.
Just the other day, I said to him, Dad, do you regret, we were away at our spot where we all go together as a family up in the Adirondacks. And he used to own one of the condos with his business partner, and he sold it a few years ago, and now each one is worth $1 million. And I said, Dad, do you regret selling a few years ago when you retired and split up the business? And he said, regret? And he has said this to me multiple times throughout my life. And I think I love prompting him with this question because I do like his reaction because it's a good reminder, and I love his attitude about it. And he always consistently says, and do I feel the same way? No, but I strive to feel the same way and have that same mindset. Yes, I have regrets in life, but his answer is, I don't regret anything.
Right.
I have not one regret. Everything happens the way it's supposed to happen. And everything is a lesson. And so there's no regrets. Do I wish that certain things, were still at play right now? Yes. I mean, would it be nice if I still had this or that? Yes. But do I regret it? No.
I say the same thing. And in business, I just heard something else. I was listening to a business podcast. It says every successful business person has had many failures before their success, sometimes even during their success. And it's so true. And they see, some people say get the failures out of the way first. I don't believe in that. I think they just come when they come. You could be Elon Musk and still have a failure tomorrow. His rocket launch could be a failure, but it doesn't mean you failed. It means that thing failed, so you try something different and try that again. That's all. So failure is just part of life, and you can't get anywhere in life without experiencing failure. But to regret the failures I say some emotions are a waste of an emotion. And to me, regret is a waste of an emotion. Other people say you can't control your emotions, and I don't believe that. I'm a half full kind of guy. Glass is half full.
Choose not to regret.
Yes. Why would I want to? I tell people, you can choose to smile or choose to frown, and people say, but there's so much bad going on, or you've had this happen to you, and I can rattle off a whole series of things that I wish I weren't 5'3". Right? I wish I had this pot belly. I wish I was smart. I wish I was a lot of things, but I made my life with what I'm given, and I made a really wonderful life. Mm-hmm. So the things I did wrong along the way, of course, you just don't do them again. Hopefully. Sometimes I still keep doing them. That's a whole nother story. That's a different podcast too. But regret, I think it's a silly emotion. You could be sad. You're allowed to be sad. So my mother passed. I was sad. I was tearing up talking about my mother. Mm-hmm. But regret? I don't get it. So, but I like your father's positive spin.
He's very positive.
He's very positive. I get along really well. But let's go back to these rapid fire questions. So, short answers. These are not yes or no questions, but short answers. Okay, what is one habit every retiree should start tomorrow?
Walking.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, that's a good one.
Do I take my own advice? No, but
you're still working. You don't have to walk. You're not retired yet.
Walking and strength training.
That's
so we have to exercise our brains, but we also have to keep our bodies fit. And the connection between brain health and actual muscle health and muscle strength, there's a connection. So I would say,
so you can't exercise your brain.
Stay social.
Yeah.
Stay social. The day you retire, don't isolate, but stay social. But also, if you haven't already started a weight training routine, start. If you were putting it off because you didn't have the time,
right,
it's not too late.
Right.
Because strength training keeps your bones strong. It keeps your brain strong.
There you go. I would never think of strength training in your brain. Very interesting. Very
Absolutely.
interesting.
Huge connection.
Yep.
Again, we're not computers, so all of our hormones are interrelated. Our hormones affect our brain health. So our hormones that generated through strength training affect our brain health.
Mm-hmm. Very interesting. Okay. What is the best way to meet new friends as a retiree?
As a retiree? Do what you love. And if there's nothing that you love, if you don't have hobbies and leisure interests, then join a senior center, join a social club, whether it's like a heritage-based, start traveling if you can. it depends on the person. It's very individualized,
Yep,
but
okay.
if you're into faith,
Right. Yep.
get involved in your church or your synagogue
Right.
or your mosque,
Right.
wherever
Right.
your happy place
My
is
woodworking
spiritually.
club
Your
at
woodworking.
68, I'm on the younger half of that club.
Nice.
I'm definitely at the young half of that club. Okay. And what is the best advice you can give someone who just lost their spouse? I'll just another question because that's a sad question. Okay, go ahead. Then
Allow yourself time to grieve.
I think that's a good answer in itself.
Yeah.
People feel they have to get up and no. Grieving's an important part of the process.
Yes.
I think that's
Give
a great-
yourself time,
Yep. Yep.
I'd say,
Yeah.
but also make sure to be around people who care about you and love you.
That's
And
another big-
sometimes it's other widows or widowers,
Yep.
and sometimes it's just
Those who
other
relate.
people. Yeah.
We have a special needs granddaughter. I mentioned that my daughter finds she relates better to other parents of special needs children. It's a different lifestyle, and it's and you need someone who can understand.
Yes.
And last question: what's something every child should know about aging regarding their parents?
Adult children of
Yeah,
aging
adult
parents.
children of aging parents. If they
You'll
were
be there
easy,
one
everybody
day.
would be here. Go ahead.
Yeah.
You'll be there one day.
You'll be there one day.
That's a great answer. That's a great answer. So, question. So we know about your program, that what you do. You're out and about all day, going to different centers and whatnot. How do people get hold of you if they want to learn more about you or retain your services?
They can give me a call or a text,
Okay.
516-350-8775, or they can go to my website, and all of my information is on there. They can even book services on my website, but absolutely give me a call. My website is just www.northstarinclusiverecreation.com.
NorthstarInclusiveRecreation.com.
Yes.
I thank you so much for coming. This
Thank
was a
you for
really
having me, Larry.
fun conversation, an interesting one. Sometimes a very technical. This was just outright fun.
It was fun.
Because you're making people happy and healthy as well. So thank you again.
Thank you so much for having
Okay.
me.
You're welcome.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Unlocking Senior Resources podcast by Leave the Key. If you've enjoyed this episode or found it helpful, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast. We specialize in working with seniors who are transitioning out of their homes, and we understand what you are going through. So if you are considering selling your home and would like an alternative to the traditional overwhelming process, reach out to see how we can help. When working with us, you can sell your home in its current condition, there is no need to remove unwanted items, and you control when the house is sold, along with so many other advantages. Visit leavethekey.com or call us at 631-388-7771 to learn more about our senior home buying process.